What is happening, people? Welcome back to another Scarfy Spurs Talk episode, another therapy session once again. I mean, the 17th time in this league season, the 21st in all competitions. Worrying numbers, worrying stuff, but it still should be good. We try and, as always, find positives, but also discuss, the things that need discussing, the bad things as well, because there's a lot everywhere you look at the football club from top to bottom right now. But let's introduce tonight's amazing panel. It's a big one this evening. Let's start off with the smallest. Kallum, how you doing?
Oh, you've warned me not to swear, so I'm just going to say, yeah, I'm all right, Harry, and I will throw something in there later on, and you will this will get banned. This will get banned. It's brilliant. No, it's therapy, mate, as always.
I took a risk there.
I think we're all mentally drained, aren't we? So hopefully we all can cheer each other up because Spurs ain't doing it for us.
No, they're certainly not. Thank you very much, Kallum. Sorry, I couldn't resist. Vass, thank you so much for coming back on. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks, Harry. It's been tough being a Spurs fan this season, hasn't it? And it feels a bit like death by 1,000 podcasts at the moment. It's just like depressing as hell in a minute, isn't it? Sorry to put a dampener on it already.
Indeed. No, you're fine. It's okay. Sorry to bring you on though tonight, but appreciate you coming on.
Glad to be here.
Nonetheless, we'll try and find some positives for you. Great to have you.
Let's hope so.
Hollie Agombar, welcome on. Fresh off your own show. I mean, real commitment for you. But another therapy session, probably. So I do apologise for that, but I hope you've been keeping well.
No stress, mate. Honestly, I think at the moment we can all be in agreement. As many therapy sessions as I can take at the minute. So I'm all happy and I'm glad to be back on it with you. So thank you.
No worries. Thank you so much for coming on. Wheelsy, it's been a while. The man behind the scenes, if you like, with all the amazing thumbnails and edits that you do for me. So thank you so much for all the incredible work you do. How you been doing though?
It's always a pleasure, Harry. You're always welcome. I feel glad to be able to help you help the channel. And apart from Spurs, I've been all right. But it is what it is. We're all suffering together, so we're all in it for the long haul. It is what it is.
Absolutely. Yeah, it is. But thank you so much. Great to have you on once again, the first time this year. If you're new to the channel, please do like and subscribe. Spurs is tough, so any support through the content is much appreciated. Keep putting it out there. If you're listening on a podcast platforms, it is available on all major podcast platforms. Please do drop us a follow and a 5-star review and check out our sponsor in the Kitman. Let's quickly go over that Frankfurt first leg then, because it hasn't been a podcast since then. Then we will get into Wolves. So let's start on a positive note, fairly positive anyway. Kallum, I'll start with you because obviously we went to the game together. What were your thoughts overall on the whole game as a 90 minutes?
It's one of them where Spurs always seem to give you a little bit of hope, don't they? They always they give you crap, little bit of hope, and they kind of perk you up. And so no, it was a good experience. I mean, I have to give credit to the German fans. I thought they were great. I mean, some of the Frankfurt team were absolutely abysmal. I didn't even realise Mario Götze still had legs. So how he was still playing, it was interesting to see. And their goalkeeper did well, but Spurs should realistically have done more on the night. And it feels like we put everything into that and everything else fell apart. So I'm a little bit concerned after that, how we then obviously saw the Wolves game. But no, great atmosphere, great to meet everyone up at the Spurs Stadium, and a really good experience for it as well. So it was positive, not because of Spurs or the football, but the actual company and the people that we met. And just actually, as an entertainment arena, it's great. The game was all the football shit. Simple as that.
Well, it's true. A good night, though. You are right about that. So, no, thank you, Kallum. Vass, can I get your thoughts? Did you think we deserved to win that game? Did we create enough, in particular, in that second half?
Yeah, definitely. Off to yet another slow start, going behind and just making life difficult for ourselves. But we grew into it, didn't we? And the second half in particular, we did well to get the goal, equalise the game. And in the second half, we really did push on, and we missed a bunch of chances, which in most of our games recently, it feels like we've just not been creating. and yet against Frankfurt, we seemed to manage to impose ourselves on them. The game plan started to work, and we missed some chances. Hit the woodwork 3 times. The goalie made a couple of saves as well. It was unfortunate that we didn't end the night possibly 3-1 ahead, which would have stood us in good stead for the return game. But as it's turned out, it's going to be tough going over there now, especially the form we're in. But nevertheless, I was quite confused after the game, in as far as I hadn't felt positive after a Spurs performance for quite a while, and yet I did, weirdly, after the Frankfurt game.
Yeah, thank you, Vass. What do you make of the performance, Hollie? Do you think we were a lot better? That's what we needed, and on another day we come away with a win.
I think that's the thing. I think all this season, well, at the start of the season, we were kind of playing games and then scoring goals, but now it's had the opposite in terms of I can't see where the goals are coming from, and we also can't defend. So to come away with a draw against Frankfurt with the opportunities we had, as much as I was feeling positive about it, I was a bit like, mate, this was the one game we needed to get that advantage in to go away. And it's almost like we've almost just got there again. And going to Frankfurt away, I said when the tie was kind of released that away game was our second fixture. I was already having nerves then. And now to go in it with 1-1, I suppose if I'm being positive, like Vass kind of said, at least we were looking like we were going to score more than one goal, which was a nice feeling. I just hope that we kind of put that into fruition again come Thursday.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Thank you, Hollie. Wheelsy, I've got different questions for you. What do you make of the atmosphere? Because I was at the game myself, and some real mixed thoughts on it. I think when we were playing well and like before the game, it's really, really good. But there was times I think where we needed that support, and maybe it wasn't there. So, what were your thoughts on the whole?
I mean, no matter what Spurs game you do go to, there will always be atmosphere, whether it be in good atmosphere, bad atmosphere. But I thought generally that the atmosphere was pretty. The fans were up for it because we need to win this trophy this season, and the fans know it. Otherwise, this season has been disappointing and all for nothing. We've been let down in the league, and I think all the fans are fed up at this point. So we just need something in the Europa League, and I think the fans are like well up for it. And I wasn't there on Thursday. I haven't been to the stadium since January, but from a outside sort of perspective, I saw that the fans felt like they felt the passion and the need to win. And I think we just need to carry that into the second leg.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's going to be tough, isn't it? But it's not over, and we can still go through. Absolutely. I think well said. Now we move on to Wolves, a little bit more depressing stuff, I suppose. Going from a 1-1 draw against Frankfurt to a 4-2 loss against Wolves, but we should be used to it, I think, now in the Premier League. For people who didn't see it, our lineup was Vicario, Gray, Romero, Davis, Spence, Basuma, Sarr, Maddison, Tell, Solanke, and Johnson. That's 6 changes. Our bench was Kinski, Van der Ven, Porro, Adogi, Bentancur, Bergval, Kulusevski, Mikey Moore, and Richarlison. Hollie, and come back to you. What were your thoughts on that lineup at the time? Were you surprised to see 6 changes?
Yes and no. Part of me is like, I didn't want to, but the other part of me is like, this game coming up is massive. If he's going to make changes, it's going to have to be this game. So that being said, I wasn't too concerned with the lineup. Again, I think I'm probably going to regurgitate myself quite a lot tonight, but the team we have should still put things together, regardless of who we're playing. And with this game against Wolves, you're kind of sat there thinking, surely we've got to turn up for this. But so for me, I wasn't too concerned about those changes because, like I said, we have that game on Thursday coming up.
Yeah, okay, that's a good way of looking at it, and it is so important, isn't it? Thursday to us and our season, the league in terms of like position wise isn't going to mean that much either way. And dare say that the club that it will still mean something to them. We know that. Kallum, any surprises with you with that lineup?
Yeah, kinda. To be honest, I thought that most of the players that he put out there haven't played for half a season, to be honest, which was a little bit frustrating for me. The likes of Sarr, Basuma, Gray hasn't played for nearly 6 weeks, probably properly as well. Yeah, it was a strange one. Davis as well, and to be honest, it didn't sit right with me. I would have rathered us gone same lineup as Thursday, get some time in their legs, and if we're winning, then make changes. go with your strongest lineup all the time compared
Okay.
to how we are, to be honest, mate.
Yeah, I think you put a good argument in that. I've made that point in the past. It's hard to get it right in, and you don't get players get injured. But I think it's a lot better. Where I would agree with you is, that first team players to, start them, from the start rather than introducing from the bench. It takes a while to get up to speed with the game. And I've always said that when players come back from injury, start them and then by all means bring them off at half time. When you're bringing them on, you've got to adapt to the pace of the game. I don't see the point of it. And players often get injured when they come on as well as a sub compared to starting the game. Vass, I'll come to you on this one again on the lineup. Kulusevski back in the squad. It's a real positive, isn't it? He's been our player of the season.
Yeah, definitely. Even though I thought his form was tailing off a little bit just before the injury, but it's good to have him back because we've lacked some element of creativity. I know Maddison is supposed to be that guy, but he tends to be in and out of games. Whereas I think Kulusevski, he'll always kind of give you something. So I suppose the issue with that was just to get him some minutes, and we did that towards the end of the game. He came on for a little while, and I hope to see him playing a bigger role on Thursday against Frankfurt. But to echo what Hollie said, I think the changes were probably acceptable to all of us. I didn't have a problem with the side, to be perfectly honest. We knew he'd rest players, but it just showed by the end of it that it's getting to a point where we can't rely on some of these players. I don't think that Bissouma and Sarr midfield pivot works. Bissouma's form has just gone through the floor. And there's other issues as well with our play. But, good to see Kulusevski coming back. Although I think we got an issue with Odebear now, who didn't make the bench. So I was quite happy with the lineup and good to see Kulusevski back.
Yeah, very good. Thank you very much, Vass. Wheelsy, how do you view this exchange? Is it, in hindsight, did Ange make too many? Did he get it wrong? Or for you, do you think he's still, in hindsight, got it right? And as Vass said, it's quite acceptable at the time.
Yeah. See, I sort of like saw it coming because I thought we're going nowhere in the league, so we need to put all of our eggs into the basket of the Europa League. So I thought resting all of like the best players would be the best choice for this match because if we lose against Wolves, no biggie. We're still like bottom half of the table. If we win, good job, but we're still bottom half of the table. So I think the changes made sense in my head, and I think the way the players went about it wasn't the greatest. Like we have all of our players back now, but they didn't play like they should, and it just gives you a question as to what is actually happening. But I'm sure we'll get more onto that later on in the pod.
We certainly will. Thank you very much, Wheelsy. Not a great start to the game, it's fair to say. Second minute, Wolves score to make it 1-0 through 8 Nori. Kallum, should Vicario do better because he chooses to parry it? Is it, could he catch it or parry it into, I suppose, a less dangerous area?
You'd like to think so because he's meant to be quite capable with his hands, to be honest, as a goalkeeper. He's meant to be quite a good shot stopper. So I would rather... Grow up, all of you. Grow up. Seriously, I'm being calm and sophisticated here. So I think he's meant to be a much more capable than that, to be honest. But it's a culmination of errors that led to that. And to be honest, the fact that we left in that much space to be able to get that shot away is just a joke. In there, Bissouma, Sarr, Maddison should all be doing much better. It's just crap, to be honest, mate. And to actually concede that within 2 minutes is ridiculous as well, to be honest. So, yeah, Vicario could do better, but I think the fact that you give away that early goal, it just sets the tone of how poor it is for Spurs starting games out this season.
Absolutely. Vass, we have had a problem, haven't we, starting, games in terms of conceding first and really struggling as Kallum points there. It's a big problem. And again, we concede first in this game.
Yeah, it's a massive problem. I mean, you can't... It's bad enough you want to go out in a game in a bad run of form and you just want to sort of establish your foothold on the game and then hopefully create some chances and build from there. But to constantly be going behind so early, you're just making a rod for your own back. It was an awful start. I think it was Wolves' first real attack down the left. Sarr gave away a needless free kick, and then when it came in, Vicario, that was just not good enough. He's been not bad lately, actually. Vicario, he's been coming out and claiming stuff, but on that occasion, he just decided to punch it. And yeah, Kallum's right. There should have been better marking on the edge of the box. Everyone was slow to react there, but just an awful start to a game and an awful goal to give away so early. Yeah, unacceptable.
Yeah, certainly was. Not good at all. Wheelsy, worst possible start, wasn't it, in the game? You can't get that much worse than that. It's conceded inside 100, 120 seconds.
Yeah, exactly. It wasn't the greatest of starts by a large margin. If Vicario could have saved that, I have no idea, but I feel like he should have been better. Yeah, it was just very. There was no communication. Not good at all. There's not really much else I can add to that.
No, that's absolutely fine. No, it wasn't good at all. Hollie, does it concern you the way we start games? Because you give yourself, an uphill task, don't you? An uphill battle when you concede so early in a game, like we did in this one. It's always going to be tough, especially away from home when you've got Wolves fans that are boosted by that. They know that pretty much a win, very close to mathematically securing their safety. They're all going to be all right anyway. And it's just you give them that energy, don't you, from the start? It's just a disaster.
It is, but am I used to it at the moment? Yes. Should I be used to it? I'd like to say no, but it's just the kind of story of Spurs at the moment. It used to be, obviously, we'd go get a goal and then 2 minutes later we'd concede again, and now it's reversed. So, and that actually happened in this game as well. I know you'll get onto later. So whichever way you look at it, it's just the same old story. I'm concerned all the time, but right now I'm just like, I just can't be bothered. I don't have the energy. I don't have the passion, and that's sad when you think about it. That the football club I love, I can't recognise anymore.
It is sad, and I think it's negligence, isn't it, from the top for me. Very disappointing, club. For me at the moment, no identity, no evidence that we're going to get out of where we are. Changing managers or not, which is, if you ask me, concerning. But we'll come back to all that kind of discussion later, because in 38th minute, it goes from bad to worse for Ange Postecoglou and Spurs, because Wolves score again to make it 2-0. It was a Jed Spence own goal. Wheelsy, I'll start with you on this one. Vicario, right? Another error, would you say, from him?
Exactly that. This guy looks like he can't even catch a cold, let alone the ball nowadays. Honestly, I don't think there's much Jed Spence could have done about that. It hit his chest. He was a few yards away from the box, from the goal. Sorry, there's not much he could have done about that. But that was definitely on Vicario's head, that error. And he has to hold full credit for the 2-0 goal for Wolves. It was all on him.
Yeah, it certainly was. Hollie, how do you view that goal? Was it, Vicario? Is it, Jed Spence? Is it unfortunate?
It's just an absolute mess from top to bottom. I think it was the one as well where he's allowed so much time in our box and no one's around him. That's the thing that baffles me even more. And then obviously to see Vicario palm it onto Spence, I'm thinking, am I watching Only Fools and Horses here? Because this was the point I was getting to, because it is literally a joke every time we concede a goal like this. And again, it starts from that midfield. Don't close them down. Ball into the box. Don't close that player down. Ball across on a shot. Palm it off. And it's just, a calamity of errors. And it's just, I sound very, very annoyed because I have got to this point, and I'm quite positive. But I think I'm getting to the end of my tether now. Because I think that goal just epitomises everything that kind of went on in that game.
Absolutely, totally, not good at all. Vass, did that goal kind of sum up our league season? I suppose just an absolute mess, an absolute shambles. Just the way it went in, the manner. It's disappointing, isn't it? You don't want to see a goal like that. It's just, I think for me, I want to get your thoughts on this, Vass, but a defence that there's not a lot of trust or confidence in any of them. Like Vicari doesn't know to go for it. Spence doesn't know to go for it. They don't know to close it down. It's just a mess, isn't it? As Hollie says, everywhere you look.
Well, not only that, when that ball went into the box, Ben Davies was trying to play offside. And that's why the two of them were sort of stood alone in the centre, unmarked, I think. But Jed Spence behind him was just oblivious to it. I don't know whether they communicated or if it's because they hadn't played, but the system is the system, right? So you should know what to do in that scenario. And so we found ourselves allowing a cross to go in with not enough defenders around those players. Vicario comes out and makes an awful decision again. And I can't be too hard on the guy because he's done good things for us this season and he's played pretty well, but he just looked all over the shop at the beginning of that game, and that's not what you need from your goalkeeper to inspire confidence in the defence. I mean, in between that first and second goal, or just after the first goal, he just basically passed the ball straight to a Wolves forward, and they should have been 2-0 up at that point. So that could have been really bad to start, and a lot of it is on just poor organisation, really bad communication, and the goalkeeper showing no confidence at all. And I mean, Wheelsy was saying earlier that all the focus is on Europa League, and quite rightly, I guess. But it just also seemed to me like the players have zoned out of the Premier League games now. And there's no there should be like fighting for some points at least, so we don't have our worst finish in a Premier League season since whenever. But it don't appear to be. So there's something completely wrong. I think earlier in the season, when we lost games like to Ipswich or Palace, and at the time Palace hadn't won a game back then, I think sometimes we walk into games expecting to win, and that's when it bites us in the arse. But on this occasion, I think the players were just totally zoned out, and it showed in that early performance from them.
Do you think it's a mentality problem, Vass? You say there about, kind of the way we rock up, the attitude to games. Is it a mentality thing? And if so, where does that kind of come from? Does it come higher up and through the club, or is it just, the players?
Yeah. There's the club culture is not what it needs to be for a winning team. Daniel Levy's provided this super fantastic stadium. He's provided these super, training facilities, and players are comfortable. And without having that pressure on them to win in every game, they sometimes do turn up just expecting to be, just to win the game or whatever. I mean, admittedly, I suppose we're going to get onto the manager at some point, but a lot of this is on him as well, because he needs to organise the team and to motivate them to perform and to, be disciplined and to fight for the points and everything else. So either he's failing or the players are failing him by not listening. So there's more to it. But to answer your question, yeah, I think it comes from higher up. The culture at the club at the moment is, if we win, we win. If we don't, we don't.
Yeah, it's certainly fractured, isn't it? Thank you, Vass. Half time, Wolves went into it with a 2-0 lead. Kallum, I'll come to you firstly on the next goal of the game, which is actually, went to us. 59th minute, it was Matthias Tell. Bergvall deserves a lot of credit, doesn't he, here for this goal. Comes on and makes an instant impact, creating the goal.
Yeah, no, Bergvall is an outstanding player for us, and he's probably one of the only shining lights. So the more he's constantly involved, the better as well. He's so good at high pressing, and he allowed this goal to be created with his high press to turn it over. Then Johnson gets it, goes right. Wolves hash it completely wrong. Semedo gets turned inside, and then that's where Tell turns up. But Bergvall is sort of the centre point of that goal. But obviously, I know later on he does go from hero to villain as well in a matter of about 20 minutes, which doesn't help. But from our point of view as Tottenham fans, he's one of the only positives of this season. And the only reason it's come about is because the rest of our first team players have been absolutely dog that he has played, to be honest, because we knew that he probably could have been sent out on loan in January. He could have gone out on loan last summer. So God help what position we'd be in if he was out on loan. We'd probably be up something creek without a paddle for definite. And I think that paddle had been hitting us on the head and it'd be more pleasant than that game. But no, all credit to Bergvall. He did so well yesterday and he looks like one of the only players that wanted to make a difference on that pitch, to be honest, mate.
100%. Hollie, on Bergvall, a lot of Spurs fans are concerned about they suppose losing our young talent and best assets in the summer after how we've been this season. A lot of names you hear, Kulusevski and Romero. Is there any possibility that we struggle to keep hold of someone like Bergvall? We've obviously he's been very good, will attract outside interest. Do you share their concern about losing players like him?
I do to an extent because of how far we've fallen, the potential that we won't be in Europe next season. Obviously, that brings down money in terms of that we won't win. But I also feel that if Mr. Daniel Levy wants to build something at this club after the knives are out at him at the moment, I feel like he needs to try and keep those best players and build a team around them like we should have done many years ago. And if that's my positive kind of outlook on things, then we have to try our best to keep them. Because I think, like we've already kind of said tonight, Bergvall is a shining light within that squad, along with the likes of Decky and a few other players. But there's a few other players that we'll probably get onto later tonight that, although they seem to be a senior part of this squad, I think their time is coming to an end. And that's fine by me if we manage to keep these other gems.
Yeah, 100%. Thank you. I want to talk about Brennan Johnson's cross, which he got the assist for. And I want to start something here with Brennan. So it's a conversation to be had. Kallum, I'll start with you. I think we differ on this. I think we spoke about it, didn't we, in detail away to the Frankfurt game, that first leg at home. Which is interesting. But what do you make of this cross? Firstly, though, it's effective, isn't it? From Matthias Tell. I don't think knew a lot about it in the end.
Yeah, it's effective against in all honesty, a piss poor Wolves defence. And the goals and assists that he's got in the last couple of weeks have been against even worse piss poor defences than Spurs'. That's where it is, mate. And to be honest, when we was looking at him on Thursday night against Frankfurt, he was crap. He didn't do nothing at all. And he doesn't turn up in big games. He is a small game player where he could probably get 20 goals playing against the lower 10 in the league. But he's not. I don't remember the last time he got a big goal for Spurs in a top 6 game or a top 8 game. And I know that probably the league is all over the place at the moment. So, I mean, what classes are the top 6, top 8, top 10? Because look at us, we're sitting down near relegation. But I just don't. I feel there's a player there. I just don't think he's consistent enough to be able to say that he's going to change anything for Spurs, to be honest, mate. But no, it was an okay cross that Wolves just absolutely fluffed their lines over. Simple as that, mate.
No, I agree with you on that. But you know what I'm going to say to you? He's our top scorer in the Premier League this season. And I know others haven't stepped up.
It's
I totally
not
agree with
freaking
that,
hard.
Right? The goals and
it's not
assists.
hard. The rest of them have been crap.
Yeah,
so at least
still.
someone's got to have it. It was either him or Maddison.
Yeah, but he's in double figures. Double figures for the first time in his career. He's on an upward trajectory.
Probably four of them goals have come against Southampton across 2 legs. Have a look who scored in the December leg, and I'm sure 4 of them have come against Southampton.
Well, I don't know, but what I do know is that I think Johnson is, for me, overhated. I think, yes, he goes missing in games. Yes, he could be better. But if he gets the goals or assists, how much does it matter? Because, goals win you matches. It doesn't in this case. But, it's a big part of why we score this goal, surely, Kallum.
Yeah, it has its merits. But I just think that he's got too many traits of Lucas Moura in there. I think he runs into blind alleys and he doesn't really have a footballer's brain, to be honest. It's all very much he can run in a straight line and turn left. That's literally his whole style. I don't see him winning balls in transition. I don't see him doing great hold-up play for strikers like what we've had in some great wingers over the years. I don't see him laying it off enough. It's just either a sideways ball across the box or a little, or he's there at the back post for a tap in, to be honest, mate. That's it. I know it probably sounds harsh on Brennan. I just don't see what a lot of other people see, to be honest, mate. But maybe it's because I'm that frustrated with Spurs. I can't
Fair enough.
appreciate something, to be honest, even if it is good.
No,
It's what turd is shinier at Spurs at this rate. Let's put it that way.
that is true. I will give you that. And Johnson does not take on his man enough. I do share that. But I know we spoke about it Thursday in detail, so I had to bring it up. One of the few things we differ on, I suppose. Vass, let's bring you in on this one. Brennan Johnson, how do you feel about him? All the conversations, debates among Spurs fans you hear recently. What side do you sit on it?
Look, does he affect the game consistently? No, he doesn't. Does he do enough? I suppose the argument is no. The stats don't lie. You're quite right. He's had top scorer. He's had a number of assists. I kind of differ with Kallum slightly in that cross that he put in against Wolves was the kind of cross that usually results in goals. And if you put that ball in properly between the goalie and the last defender, invariably someone's going to get on the end of it and score. And that's what we did against Wolves. And that'll work whichever team you do it to. I mean, we did it to Man City. Don't forget, Brennan Johnson's got the 4th goal away at Man City earlier this season on a similar cross from Timo Werner. So that kind of cross works. It's what Postecoglou likes to see his team do. But listen, he's not your traditional winger. He's not going to push the ball past the defender and get past him and cross it in. He's just not that player. And I think we're expecting him to be something he's not. We need an upgrade. I think Brent will be a good squad player under another manager. But for now, Ange likes him and plays him. So, he is who he is.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much. Wheelsy, how do you feel about Brennan Johnson at the moment, having heard all these discussions and different points raised?
I mean, it's clear to see in the fan base this season that Brennan Johnson is like Marmite. You either love him or you hate him. And to be honest, I'm pretty 50-50 with him. Like, I think he's a solid player, but as the points have been said this season, he can't take on his man. He only scores pretty much tap-ins, and that's the only reason why he's the top goal scorer this season. I haven't seen a goal where I say, "Oh, I really like this goal from Brennan Johnson. It's worth talking about for seasons and seasons to come." They've just been pretty cookie cutter goals, but you can't take anything away from that. He's the one that's been scoring the goals for us. So if it works, it works.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Lastly on this, Hollie, I want to get your thoughts. Coming to you last. You've heard a lot of what's been said. How do you feel, Brennan Johnson?
He's a frustrating player, but he does get the goals. And obviously, Ange keeps playing him because that's keeps working for him in that kind of sense of getting those goals. I do agree. He frustrates. I don't think he's a normal winger. He doesn't take his man on. He floats into the box last minute to get the goals. A traditional winger for me. Maybe the game is slightly changing, but I get excited by a winger that takes his man on. Brennan Johnson doesn't do that. He doesn't have the ability to do that. Yeah. He can time his runs at times, if I'm being generous. But he times his run into the box rather than being the one to put that cross into the box. And it does baffle me that with the likes of Solanke up top, we don't put the balls in the air either. And I don't think Brennan's got that in his locker. So, yeah, I would say he's got the goals come with the goods, but I wouldn't class him as a traditional winger.
Okay, that's fair enough. And last but not least, Hollie, on that goal, to put it back at the time to 2-1, Tell didn't know much about that, did he? Are you happy for him, though, to get that goal? And it should do his confidence a world of good, shouldn't it?
I think so. And don't get me wrong, I think it's quite hard coming to a team on loan when you first of all said you didn't want to come and now you're here, deadline day. So in that kind of respects, I kind of get it. I think he's had a bit of a battering in terms of how we have Spurs fans have kind of perceived him. But again, I think that's because our form hasn't been great this season. We wanted someone to have a bit more impact than what he has done. But obviously, he's managed to get that goal, right place, right time. I was just bashing Johnson about not being able to put balls into the box, and he did this time. And like I said, the role's kind of reversed. That's what I want to see Tell doing on the other side, and then putting getting Johnson to. Oh God, I can't speak. You can tell it's past 8 o'clock. That's what I kind of see. So yeah, to answer your question in simpler forms, Harry, I am very pleased that Tell's got the goal there.
Thank you very much, Hollie. I'll be exactly the same, if not worse, for sure. If I'd done back-to-back podcasts, so don't blame you at all. Let's move on in the game. 64th minute, Wolves made it 3-1. I suppose our hope and thoughts of getting back into this one didn't last long, no more than 5 minutes. This goal was scored by Strand Larsen. We seem to struggle to mark him. I don't know if it was deliberate or not, but every time he had the ball, Larsen was unmarked, which I think is massive concern. But Vass, Romero won't need to be told, will he, in this situation? It's poor for him, and it's another individual error, isn't it?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I mean, the guy's a World Cup winner. It starts from him chasing the ball back. He was in total control of that situation. And for some unknown reason, he kind of stepped aside and just let the Wolves player take it off him. And I know you said Strand Larsen wasn't marked, but I don't even know why we were in that situation. It was down to Romero. It was an awful piece of defending, and we actually were looking like we might just get back into the game. We had a bit of momentum after bringing it back to 2-1, and then we just gifted them that goal and just shot ourselves in the foot yet again.
Yeah, it certainly did. Kallum, it is an individual error, isn't it, from Romero? Do you think, that he has that in his game, that, some people call him a liability? How do you feel about that?
Yeah, there's definitely that air about it. I mean, you definitely see that he doesn't feel comfortable playing alongside Davis whenever he plays alongside him, to be honest. And Van der Ven probably covers up for a lot of Romero's issues that he does have about not tracking back and not sort of having his eye constantly on the ball. I think there's a good player in there, and you're never going to be a bad player if you've won a World Cup, especially as their starting centre back. But the inconsistencies in there and the errors have become more and more apparent as he's kind of got rid of the rashness out of his game, and the errors have come into it instead. So it's either he gets sent off or he lets a goal happen. It's no in between anymore, which is quite concerning. But it's just silly. And yeah, Strand Larsen's a pain in the backside player. He's a fast, pacey forward who has caused trouble for other teams this year, and you can't allow him that much time or space and allow him to pick up on that. So a really poor timed error, especially as if we'd just kind of had a little bit of hope, and that hope lasted all of about 2 minutes, and then Spurs blow it up again. So I mean, it doesn't really help us mentally when you're watching a game. And if Wolves scored a good goal, I'd understand. But when it comes from your own players, this whole game was riddled with we was the making of our own downfall in this game, and it's kind of summed up across the board. That's probably all I can say on that one, mate.
Absolutely. How many times we said that, though? Spurs are our own worst enemy. They've been saying that for an awfully long time, and this game was a perfect example of that. Hollie, I want to get your thoughts on a YouTube comment from Terry Wright. So big up to Terry. He says, Romero's checked out. He's off to Spain in the summer. Do you think Romero's mind is elsewhere, or do you not kind of read into too much of that stuff?
I'd like to not to, but his body language and kind of the reactions that you're kind of getting from him, or lack of reaction, shall I say, is kind of telling. We've spoken about it many times, and we always joke about the fact that he gets injured right before international break and he's off. So I can kind of understand that potentially his mind could be thinking elsewhere. I think the way that he kind of defended, especially for that goal that we've just spoken about, he's, like we've all said, he's world class. He's been in the World Cup. Like, come on, mate. Put a bit more effort in. And I sadly think that if an opportunity does come up for him, or he's already had those talks, he's already gone. But I also think a lot of these players in this team have already checked out. We've already spoken about it tonight in terms of this Premier League campaign is pretty much done and dusted. The only thing we're kind of holding on to is Europa. And as professionals, you never want to say that about your team. But I think there's a lot of telltale signs there at the minute that we're just kind of done.
Yeah, I think you're right. Thank you very much. Terry says, I agree. He agrees with you. So thanks, Terry, for the question. Thanks, Hollie, as well, for that reply. Wheelsy, I'll come to you. You can't blame Ange, for the individual errors. I want to get into Ange a lot later. I think we all have a lot of negative things to say, but I'll back him up on this one. He can't, control, can he, really, those individual errors? He can control the lack of identity, lack of defensive structure we saw in this game, but not the 4 individual errors that all led to the Wolves goals.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I know Andrew's the manager. He decides who plays on that day and who doesn't. But he's not full to blame for each individual error. And I believe every Wolves goal, if not the first one, all of them were due to errors. So there's not really much that can be said on that. But if it's any credit to Romero, I think the only thing he did that game was lower his market value for a club in Spain to snap him up in the summer. So he had the captain's armband that game, and he was the first one out of the tunnel. So it says a lot about his character, and I don't think he'll be here past the summer. He'll be on the plane to Madrid or wherever he's going to go, but it's not going to be at Spurs.
No, I don't think it will be either. World Cup winner, I think, was sad, but that's what happens when you've been really bad. But also, I think he's got to be doing better while he is here. 85th minute, we get a goal to make it interesting for a brief second. Anyway, put it back to make it 3-2 Wolves. Richarlison with the goal. Kallum, Romero does well with the initial header. We've talked about him there, criticised him quite a bit, but he does well, doesn't he, with a header that forces the save from Jose Sarr.
Yeah, he's definitely done well to win it, and then Richarlison's just there at the right time at the right moment to put it away into the net, and it got a little bit frosty at some point during when they tried to get the ball out of the net and all that to get it going quickly. But no, it was good to see the Pigeon back on the score sheet for at least a week before he goes back to Everton in the summer, and Daniel Levy will hopefully scrimp as much money out of him as possible.
You're so negative, aren't you? I think you could be right, but I love where you turn that. A good moment for Richarlison. You turn it into the Pigeons going.
It's this game, mate, to be honest, because when I looked at it and I kept switching the game off because I was just getting more and more frustrated and it was just ruining my day. But then when I switch it on and I see that, okay, yeah, 3-2 now. Okay, maybe we can go for it and go again. And then just any hype that was from that goal was gone again within a minute or two. And it just it really gives you a bad taste. That's why I'm so negative about Spurs at the moment. It hurts me that when we see the club that we love so much has fallen so far, when we used to completely kill Wolves in games. And if it was that we were winning 4-2, that should be the result we're getting, not Wolves beating Spurs for it. And it's just the manner of how we went about it. And even when we was getting the goals, it didn't look like we was being serious about it either. I'm really sorry if I'm being negative about it. It's just an honest opinion of how that, even with the goals, it didn't feel like anything was changing, to be honest, mate.
No, I fully respect that. It's honesty is what we want. So thank you very much, Kallum. Vass, did you believe at all in this moment, or you were like, Kallum, you know what we're like. We've already had that opportunity already in the game to come back into it, and we conceded straight after. How are you feeling at that moment? Any positivity, any hope?
Yeah, 3-2, you have hope that you can maybe come back and at least salvage a draw from a game that you probably don't deserve to win. But then again, another error. This time we've got a free kick deep in our own half. And somehow we contrive to give it to a Wolves player to run through on goal. It's just absolutely shocking. So, yeah, I kind of follow on with what Kallum was saying. The only thing I'd sort of slightly disagree with is that I think we've beaten Wolves once in the last 8 games. They've always been getting the better of us lately. And, I guess from that angle, you're probably going up there thinking, well, our record up there is not great. Are we in a position right now to break that jinx that they seem to have over us? But the problem is when you are gifting goals away to that degree, then you get what you deserve at the end. And yeah, all 4 goals were really, really bad errors. And Bergvall, for all his good stuff, I mean, he was probably at fault for that 4th one because he just ran straight into the Wolves player and just gave the ball away so cheaply. And we've been doing that a lot. The whole game, we just keep giving the ball away cheaply. And every time we try to do something positive, it just keeps coming back at us. The problem is the way we play. When it does come back at us, we've got men up the pitch and we get caught out. So we've got to look after the ball better, and we're not doing it very well at all. And lots of players are guilty of this. It's not just down to 1 or 2. Really poor decision making, really poor passing, and we're just not taking care of the football. But yeah, to your point, I had hope at 3-2, but quickly got extinguished by that error to make it 4-2 for them.
You did, and that leads me on to my next point. So thank you very much, Vass. Very nicely timed. And that is the 4th goal of Wolves to make it 4-2, less than 60 seconds later in Spurs style. Mateus Cunha with the goal. Wheelsy, let's start with you. Bergvall is at fault, isn't he, with this one? I mean, he does well, creates that goal to potentially gets back in it, but he's robbed of the ball too easily, isn't he?
100%. I was saying about when I was watching the game, I was praising Bergwijn and how good he was playing, but then everything just jinxed all in 1 minute, where he just gave away the ball in a very costly area. Cunha just ran it up to the goalkeeper, beat the goalkeeper, and yeah, that just put the game to bed. So yeah, but I'd say Bergwijn was at fault, but we knew that the game was very rocky from the first minute all the way to the 80th plus minute where that goal was scored. There was just no coming back from there. If I'm honest, there was no like coming back or anything.
I appreciate your honesty, Wheelsy. We weren't good, and I'm not surprised that you thought that already. I had a couple of opportunities in the game, and we didn't come back into it or even look likely, despite scoring and just being one behind at 2 opportunities. So it was disappointing. So totally get how you feel. Hollie, having said that about Bergvall, it was a composed finish though by Cunha, wasn't it? He still got a lot to do to put it past Vicario.
Yeah, and then it was also obviously he had to like dodge the tackle from Davies as well, go through, put it in the bottom of the net. But as soon as it kind of opened up, I know we've spoken about how the way we kind of play, and I know you'll get on later about Ange, etc., etc. But whenever we lose the ball in the middle of the park, that's it. We'll cut open like the Red Sea. Even there's so many times this season where the ball's played from the back over the whole of our midfield, and it's played through. It's like direct football. We don't seem to be able to even come back from it. And this was a prime example of we lose the ball in the middle of the park, cut straight open. And for me, as soon as obviously we lost that ball, I was like, all right, we're done. This is another goal. But just because you can feel it happening. And I don't know whether we talk about so many times, so many seasons gone before of this mentality thing. And it's here again at the forefront. And don't get me wrong, there's still maybe a couple of the old guard here and the likes of Davies and Sonny, but that's still riddled within this squad. And I think that is one of the biggest issues that we'll forever be talking about.
Yeah, 100%. Not good at all. Vass, I'll come to you. Would you like to see Spurs activate Cunha's release clause in the summer? Come out about his release clause. Can't remember it exactly. It was 65 million. Lower than many thought. Just so I thought I'll put it out there. Is that something you'd be interested in? Obviously, he's got a lovely record, hasn't he, with bans at the moment and red cards.
Yeah, he has, but he's a top player. And yeah, I'd like to see us do that. I'd like to see us start behaving like a top tier club and going in for these players, which we normally stand aside and watch other teams come along and sweep these players up. It's all well and good, buying the best young talent from Europe and wherever, but at times you need experienced, established professionals, and Cunha certainly is that. I can't see us doing it though. yeah, I'd love to see that happen for sure.
It's all right. We want Cunha, and Daniel Levy's
Yeah,
got
so
a
would
6
I.
million release clause for Dennis Sirkin from Sunderland or something like that. That's what we'll end up with.
It wouldn't surprise me. We have to see. But no, I just thought I'd ask you the question because I personally do like Cunha. I do think he's does some silly things on the pitch away from the actual football itself. But he's a top player. You can't ignore that. But the game does end for win for Wolves 4-2. Vass, let's just get straight into it. We had no defensive structure at all, did we, in this game? And that is on Ange Postecoglou, isn't it?
Yeah, there's. Listen, I've been supportive of Ange for much of the season. I thought that the injuries that we had were significant and they affected us, and there was always this hope that we re-establish ourselves once we got our injured players back. In the meantime, we were doing okay in the cups. We got to the semi-final of the Carabao. We had a tough time in the FA Cup for sure against Tamworth, but then we were progressing in the Europa. And so that was kind of like mixing in some good results with some bad results in the league. And we're kind of like muddling our way through. But as the season's gone on, and especially in recent weeks, it just hasn't been good enough. There was an argument to say that to have so many individual errors in one game, is that down to the system? Is that down to the way we play? I don't know. I think a lot of that is directly on the players, but Ange is accountable. He's the manager, and what we're seeing at the moment, it's just not, not good enough. And I think the time he looks fed up as well. In all honesty, he just looks beat down, tired. He's grumpy. He's reacting a lot to the media and to fans, and it's not a happy camp at the minute. And it just reflected that on Sunday against Wolves.
It did. Hollie, I know you have to jump in a minute. A couple of questions for you before you go. Firstly, Ange Postecoglou, where do you stand with him at the moment?
Again, I was pretty much on the same kind of trajectory in terms of that. I was kind of Ange to the end. But then when he kind of cupped his ear to fans, and don't get me wrong, maybe I've been so behind Ange, I was quite reactive to then be my final straw. But I just things aren't doing anything anymore, if that makes sense. I'm not excited to watch my team. I don't know where wins are coming from. After this Frankfurt game, that's done and buried anyway, so what's the point? I'm just very numb with Spurs at the moment, and I was maybe holding on to that feeling we had when Ange first came in, united all the players together, and with the fans, which I haven't had for a very long time, and I was still trying to hold on to that, pretty much like Vass was as well, with obviously these injuries and things, but now we've kind of got everyone back, we haven't really got that to fall back on, but Ange will still use something as an excuse. So for me, regardless if we win the Europa, I think he still needs to go. I think everybody's kind of just done with this illusion of him being the man to kind of take us on to bigger and better things. I think it would be a great end of the story, if we can put it like that, for us to win a trophy, Ange to depart, we get someone else in. I feel like it'd just be incredibly toxic, which I think it's going to go if we do lose on Thursday anyway.
It certainly will be. Last but not least, Hollie, can I get your prediction for that second leg against Frankfurt? You say there'll be a good end to the story if we do win the Europa League. Will we even go through on Thursday?
Again, that's me being incredibly positive. It's probably my last ounce left. No, I don't see us winning. I think it will be very much the same story as the game just gone. But I think Frankfurt, with their home fans behind them, will do us over, I think.
Okay, thank you so much, Hollie. Where can people find you across all of your socials?
No, thank you, H. Like I say, you can just find me on Hollie Agombar on Twitter and Hollie Spurs on YouTube. Like I say, it's nice to ask the questions, but it's even better to be on here with you, with answering them. So thank you, Harry. Jesus Christ, this is why I need to go to bed.
Well, that's what Spurs does to you. Thanks so much for coming on, Hollie. You're welcome back anytime. All the best.
Cheers. Thank you. See you later.
Thank you. See you. Bye. We'll continue with the Wolves review for the rest of you. Kallum, I know you're not the one for positivity, but hear me out here, with the question. Are there any positives to take out of this game, despite the defeat? Anything you saw? Maybe Kulusevski getting back on the pitch, Richarlison getting his goal. I mean, I know you shut that down quite quickly, but are there any positives that you see from that?
Kulu coming back was, I guess, a positive, but I didn't really see that much of him in the game, if you get what I mean, to really impact it. So it's so difficult to see positives out of a 4-2 loss. I mean, we tried to do it with the Chelsea game, that 4-1, didn't we? It's like, how much faith can you put in a dying cause now? And it's like what Vass has said, what Hollie's said. It kind of, I know we're still doing the Wolves review, but also it links into the Ange stuff as well, that there is no positives. It's like, if you want to be positive about something, you make your changes at half time to impact a game. He didn't do any of that. There was no tactical awareness or anything like that. So I guess Tell getting a goal, I mean, he's not a £55 million player for me, but he got a goal. It's probably done a world of good and confidence, hopefully. I mean, we said he was one of the bright, shining lights out of Frankfurt because he was getting in the ref's face, he was getting in the players' faces. He wanted to make stuff happen and be proactive more than Son was. So I guess that could be, like you say, Johnson did get another assist, so he is the top provider and scorer for us in the league as well. In all honesty, though, it's few and far between. And there's just one point I wanted to make in relation to Andy's tactics in this game, to something he said last week. I mean, if he spent more time working on a leaky defence and sorting that out instead of a leak on freaking injury news in a bloody press conference, we might be all right. But he said he's so focused on everything else offside the pitch and all that. He's on a dying ship, and we really needed Ange to make stuff happen in this game, I think, and he just didn't. It just looked so devoid and away from it that, in all honesty, now he's not interested, I don't think. And I guess that could be one of the positives out of it. He's not interested anymore. So maybe he's accepted his fate, and the club just needs to be proactive with it now as well, mate, because you can't get much worse than this, can we?
Yeah. Well, never say never. You just don't know. I'm just glad that there's 3 teams, below, or 4 teams, I know, excluding Wolves, the 3 teams that come up are going to go down are just awful. We're very lucky with that, and we're lucky there's not another 10 games on. If there was just a,
we are still like the second
worried.
top scorers in the bloody league as well, aren't we, or something like that? Still, how does that work?
Third
It's a
top,
joke.
yeah.
It's a joke.
It is concerning, isn't it? But Kallum, just staying with you for another minute. Ange will say that he got his substitutions right because Bergville come on, create a goal. I know, of course, but at the same time, he's at fault, wasn't he, down the other end for a goal? But Richarlison comes on, scores. So how do you view Ange's subs?
Yeah, I mean, if you say it in that light, you go, okay, yes, they did have a contribution, but with all due respect, we was already 2-0 down at half time. He didn't bring on Bergvall and Bentancur until 57 or 58 minutes. So we still went through 15 more minutes of the same crap as the first half as well. And there was plenty of Wolves chances where if they had probably had Cunha as their number one striker in form on the pitch from that point, we could have been 4-0 down by then. It's just coincidentally that his stuff did work, but realistically he got it wrong from the start. And he can say what he likes about, my changes did have an impact on the game. He still lost it 4-2 though. Simple as that. You can't get away from facts. Facts beats reason at the end of the day, and Andy's reasoning of saying, yes, my changes worked. Well, no, they didn't, mate. They had an impact on the game, but ultimately we still lost it, and you dug yourself a deeper hole by just trying to get people to think the sun shines out your backside when it really doesn't. I mean, he seems like a really self-absorbed person now. It's like he's been there so many times that his brand of football is there, and everyone's against him. Well, you kind of done that yourself. You've turned everyone against you, mate, to be honest now. So that's what we got.
Yeah, that's true. He's biting back, isn't he, and making things more difficult for himself. And when you lose those away fans, those core supporters, which I feel he's doing now, for me, you're in trouble. And we've seen that Fulham away, Chelsea away, some ugly scenes, to say the least. Wheelsy, we don't do very well against Wolves, do we? We've got an awful record in recent years against them. It's not good, is it?
No, I think that if I recall correctly, the last time we beat them was that season where we had Nuno as manager and we beat him 1-0, the second game of the season. But it seems like Wolves are a bit of like our bogey team, and it's just it's not looking good, is it? We're meant to be a big six club, a top club, but we're getting smacked around by smaller teams. So it just puts us into perspective of how big we actually are and how big the press see us. But things need to change. If they don't change, we're just gonna sit in the mid table mixture with Brentford, Fulham, Brighton, and we're not gonna come out of that anytime soon if things don't change.
No, you're spot on. I've got some stats here, and they're not good reading, the majority of them, if not all of them. 17 Premier League defeats, the most defeats Spurs have suffered in a league campaign since 2003-4 season, where they lost 19 games and finished 14th. This is Tottenham's lowest ever Premier League points total. Sorry, I should say that Tottenham's lowest ever Premier League points total was 44 in the 97-98 campaign, and we're currently on 37 points with 6 games remaining. There's a serious chance, I think, that we don't get past 44. We've won just 4 league games in 2025 against Brentford, Ipswich, Southampton and Man United. No disrespect, but look at those levels of opposition. We've lost 2 more games than West Ham this season in the league. That's really concerning, and we've actually lost the same amount now as Wolves, and only 2 less than Ipswich. Kallum, they are concerning stats, aren't they?
That is a joke. That is an absolute joke. And I think Ricky from Last Word on Spurs went on Sky today, and he said that we've lost more games this season than Pochettino did in the 2016-17 season, 2017-2018 and 2018-2019 season. Across 3 seasons, we've lost more games this season. It is completely scandalous how Ange has been allowed to stay in this position for so long, and he has been riding his luck and making an excuse and putting up this smoke screen and hoping that people will just keep going, thinking the good times are great and all that. I mean, we sacked Nuno after 10 games for less. Jesus. I mean, we literally sacked Martin Jol at half time in a European game for less. We've sacked what was his name? Who won the cup? Was it Juan de Ramos? Who won
Juan de Ramos, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that geezer got us a cup. He was gone. Pochettino, we sacked 5 months after a Champions League for less. I mean, what has Ange got on Levy that he'd release to the press if he gets sacked, that it'd literally go wrong and all that? I mean, is it just Levy saying that I'm not going to spend out any more money getting rid of managers? They've got to go on their own volition now. But we sacked Mourinho before a cup final. And Ange has ridden his luck so much, to be honest, this season. It is unbelievable, mate. And I'm like you, like Hollie, I like Vass. I backed Ange a lot up to the last couple of weeks. And I'm just completely devoid of any compassion or sensibility of the man now. I just think it's a joke now. How can we say that losing 17 games is acceptable? I mean, literally, they sacked Moyes for less from United. They sacked Ten Hag at West Ham. They sacked Ten Hag at United for less, and he just won an FA Cup and all that. Potter went for less. So many managers have gone for less, and Ange just literally held this ridiculously. I don't know.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Last thing I want to ask about before I let a couple of you go. Vass, Dominic Solanke, are you concerned about him?
Yes, mate. Yeah. He hasn't been the same since his return from injury. highly likely that he's not yet 100% fit, because we've seen players do this before, coming back from injury and then taking a long while to get back to their levels. But then our slump in form and the way that we're playing is not helping him either. I think it was a Hollie that said earlier that we're not even getting any crosses into him. Not that he tends to feed off of crosses, he's more a ball into feet, but then even those balls into his feet are just either ricocheting back or they're not reaching him. And so, whereas before at the earlier part of the season, he was immense in the way he was chasing down players and the way he was winning the ball back, bringing other players into play. Our press has sort of disappeared, so that's become less apparent. And then the rest of his general play has fallen as a result of the drop in general play of the whole team. So yeah, I'm concerned, but it could just be a team issue.
Yeah, it could be. No, I think you're right. I think that we don't give him enough service, but also he's got to be doing more. He's got to, live up to his worth, what we pay for him, and he isn't doing enough at the moment. So well said, Vass. Kallum, how do you feel about Solanke? I think we touched on it, didn't we, on our trip on Thursday on the way to Frankfurt. How do you feel about him generally?
Yeah, a lot of running about with nothing really to show for it, to be honest. And like Vass says, he's probably not up to speed, to be honest. I don't think the way that the team are performing are helping him at all. He tries his best to hold the ball up, but he's so isolated up front at the moment, mate. And he's either isolated or the space that he wants to be in, some idiot fullbacks in there because they're playing as a number 10 as well, because of Angie's inverted cobbler's style, to be honest. So I mean, if you're a number 9 or a number 10, you want to be sitting there on the edge of the box or in the box. Well, when you've got Udogie and Porro running there and then Romero running in there as well, what space does Solanke have to operate? Because if not, you're kicking your own player up in the air. And we saw Bentancur do that earlier in the season with someone else trying to score, and he kicked Solanke up in the air as well. So I mean, it kind of reflects how our season is, that we bought this great striker who has done so well, and we've managed to probably ruin another player, to be honest, because we're Tottenham as well. I feel sorry for the guy, to be honest, mate.
He's full of laughs, isn't he, old Kallum?
I'm sorry, Vass. I'm more of a realist, to be honest. It's just the fact that we've paid so much money, and I was so excited when Solanke came in, and I feel like we've done nothing to help the poor guy out, to be honest.
No, we haven't. But hopefully he'll find his form, and if it's not under Ange, it's under somebody else. I still think he's a good player for the club for sure.
Exactly. He's only 26. He's still got time on his side.
Definitely. 100%. Right, last couple of questions. We'll let you two go. Vass, do you understand the question about potentially Ange being sacked before Thursday, and someone like Ryan Mason coming in? Do you entertain even the thought of that?
You know what? We sacked Mourinho, didn't we, before the Carabao Cup final against City, and Ryan Mason took charge of that, and we looked just as limp as we did before we got rid of Mourinho, in all honesty. I don't think it's going to change that much. And is it enough time for anything to change? Obviously, we're Monday night now. The players will be probably flying out Wednesday. So you've only really got tomorrow for a training session. I mean, what's really going to change between now and Thursday? The game plan's already probably been set, and whoever's in charge, that's what's going to be the game plan. I don't know. It's a tough one. We've created a rod for our own back, I guess, by hanging on to Ange for so long. I think part of that might actually be, to just sort of answer Callum's point from earlier, might partly be because of the lack of options, available managers. I know when we got rid of Nuno, obviously we had Conte waiting in the wings. And normally when Levy sacks somebody, he's already got somebody else lined up to get him in quite quickly. So, yeah.
No one wants the freaking job. No one wants
and that's it. That's it. I'm reading reports tonight that, Iraola's been linked with us, and I think Ornstein or somebody is saying that he's likely to stay at Bournemouth next season. And why wouldn't he? He might get them Europe. I don't know, but yeah, it's looking like a massive mess at the minute. And sacking Ange before Thursday, I don't think changes a great deal, and I can't see that happen.
Okay. No, thank you, Vass. Can I get your Frankfurt score prediction and where people can find you across all socials and talk to people about your role within the Dr. Tottenham podcast?
Thanks, Harry. Yeah, so I'm not really great on predictions. I mean,
Join the club.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to say Spurs will win 2-1, but that's more hope than expectation, in all honesty. And yeah, you can find me as part of the Dr. Tottenham podcast. We broadcast live on YouTube once a week. You can find us on all your podcast apps, Dr. Tottenham Podcast. We're on social media, Dr. Tottenham. That's Dr. Tottenham. Yeah, wherever you can find a podcast, you can find ours. So appreciate you having me on tonight, Harry. It's been really good. Thank you very much, mate.
No worries. You're welcome back anytime. Thanks so much, Vass.
Okay.
Have a good evening.
Enjoy the rest of the pod. And yeah, sorry I've got to dash off, but yeah, chat to you soon.
No problem.
See you later, Vass.
Indeed.
Bye.
Thank you, Vass.
Yeah.
Take care, boys.
And Kallum, before I let you go, it's not going to happen, is it? But do you think Ange Postecoglou, you sack him before Thursday?
I think it's like Vass says, there's no one really about. So I guess if we was going to do something, it should have been, I would say, yesterday afternoon, last night, sort of thing. If you're going to make a change, you get rid of him after Wolves game. It's kind of, I think usually they give the players a day off today. If it was me, I'd have had them in training from 9 o'clock this morning, going and making them doing laps of the training ground for 6 hours straight to go, you was crap, do something and then do it. So, no, I mean, there's no one about. I mean, I've seen the links to Glasner, Frank, Iraola, God knows how many European managers, Ignacy, people like that. They're not going to want to come to Spurs. I mean, look at all the Premier League managers that Spurs like. They're all ahead of us in the Premier League. Every single team are ahead of us. So why would they drop down when probably Bournemouth could get European football? Probably Brighton could get European football in some capacity. Fulham could as well with Silva. So why would they want to drop down?
Some would say that we're a bigger club. So are we still attractable with that new stadium? And, just still think that we're an attractable asset? Maybe not as much recently.
Yeah, not as much, to be honest, mate, in all honesty. And if we win the Europa League, okay, yeah, guaranteed football, we restart the season. But do we really see us going through? I mean, I was optimistic after seeing the first leg. I know we chatted and we went through it all and said that we hope. And then you look at the display against Wolves, and realistically, Frankfurt are going to have better players back on Thursday as well, if reports are to be believed. So it's being a passionate Spurs fan and saying, I hope so much that we do it, but being a pragmatist and going, can we really see any different under Ange? Is it going to be the same old tosh that we've seen so long? And if we do go ahead, we'll probably be our own doing, as always, like we were God knows how many games before. So, no, I mean,
Okay.
if I can...
Thank you, Kallum.
I'd like us to win. I want to win. Simple as that.
Absolutely, be nice. Who cares how we do it? Let's just get through the semi-final. We'll take it from there. Last but not least, Kallum, can I get your score prediction?
I'm going to have to go 2-1 Spurs just because I'm delusional.
Love it. I won't argue with that. Kallum, thanks so much for coming on. Where can people find you on the socials? And also, would you like to break the news to people about the Premier League podcast returning?
Yeah, so it's a pleasure as always, mate. You are allowing me another trial run with a Premier League podcast. It will not be this week. It may be next week or the week after. We shall see once we agree a time or place. But we're going to see how one more returning show goes, and then potentially bring it back further after that, aren't we, mate?
We are. What have I done? What am I thinking?
But no, it's a pleasure as always to be on here, mate. And if anyone wants to find me, it's Kallum Subs 97 on X, and you can find me as co-host Part Lane Podcast, or as Harry's co-host when he can't be bothered to do any podcasts each week.
Yeah, should be most weeks at the moment the way we're playing, I tell you. Thanks so much, Kallum. Have a fantastic evening.
Thanks very much, mate. And Wheelsy, take care, mate. And I'll
Take care,
speak to you soon.
See you soon.
Take care, guys. See you later. Bye.
Thank you. Right, I'm going to stay on now with Wheelsy, and we're going to talk all things Ange Postecoglou and also preview Frankfurt. So do stay tuned. Don't worry, there's an awful lot to get through. First, Wheelsy, I'm going to play Ange Postecoglou's a clip from his post-match reaction, and we're going to get into it. So here's what the gaffer had to say.
Yeah, it's a funny old game. Performance wasn't too bad, but obviously the goals we conceded, obviously made it really difficult for us. In general, I thought we were well in the game and controlled it really well, but we just kept conceding really poor goals.
All errors as well leading to those Wolves goals. Is that something that's creeping in because of nerves? Is that something that you're witnessing in this team at the moment?
No, it's the first time I've seen it, so I don't think it's creeping in. It just happened today.
And the start of the game was quite nervy too. Do you think it is to do with having to juggle the Europa League and this being in the middle, or is it what's being asked of these players at the moment?
No, I don't think so. I think, as I said, obviously the first goal comes from a clear set piece. Unfortunately, goes through a lot of bodies and they score. But like I said, either side of that, we started playing some decent football. We kept them to really not too much, and but again, we gave away some poor goals.
What do you make of that, Wheelsy? I mean, he sounds like he doesn't want to be here, does he? He's not good at all.
Yeah, it's just typical Ange fashion, isn't it? He looks at the floor. He doesn't look amused at all. It's always the same with him. He has the same expression in every single interview, and it's just, does he even want to be at this club anymore? I know he's had a bad run of fixtures and whatever, but you can't present an interview like that. It's not good for the fan base. It's not good for anyone really. It's just, I don't know how he's got away with it for so long, because he's done it for like a whole year now. It's just, why? But no, it is a bit strange to have conceded all goals to errors, basically. All 4 goals to be from errors. It's unheard of, and especially from a club like Tottenham. You'd expect us to be a bit more organised defensively, but Tottenham will be Tottenham. It's just the way it is right now.
Yeah, it is. I don't know about Wheelsy, but I think he's got something on his shoes. I don't know. He's got wrong shoes on, got clown boots on. I don't know what's going on down there.
Yeah, he dropped his business cards or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, who knows? Someone's trying to take his shoe off. I don't know. I dread to think. It's not what you want to see at all, and he's done it a lot. But it's funny, isn't it? He could look at the interviewer in the eyes and that, and look at the camera when we win. But
it's for the whole interview as well. There's no eye contact. There's nothing. It's just looking at the floor for the whole 2 minutes.
The floor.
Unbelievable. I don't know how he does it, but yeah.
I've never seen a manager quite like it. You have some managers that are difficult, but not quite like that.
Yeah, no. From being a professional football club, you can't expect a manager to do that in front of the press, in front of millions of people watching. It's not healthy. Really, it's not setting good examples to the people watching you. You can't be doing that.
No, he's so experienced as well. It's weird. Before we play a few more clips from Matthias Tell speaking after the game, and a couple of analytical, should I say, clips of Spurs from pundits and that and commentators. Do you think it's now time to fully back change for Tottenham? Someone mentioned earlier Ricky Sack's interview from last word with Spurs with Sky earlier. If people haven't seen it, it is really good. He mentions there about this is the time to back change for Tottenham and what they stand for, what they're trying to achieve. So what have you made of the job that they've done and are continuing to do? Is it something that fans should get behind?
No, I think what changed for Tottenham are doing a brilliant, like it's like the biggest protest I've seen for the club in God knows how long. So I'm glad that they're doing it. Glad that they're getting their message out there for everyone to see. Hopefully Levy sees it too. I don't know if he's too far of his own backside to even notice, but yeah, it's good what the guys are doing. That change for Tottenham, and hopefully something changes soon rather than later, because it does change is needed, and it's needed now.
Yeah. It is needed now, isn't it? We can't go on like this, Wheelsy.
No,
It's broke,
no.
isn't it, the club, from top to bottom?
Definitely.
Yeah, 100%. Next, I want to play a clip from Matthias Tell, who was sent out, and this annoys me in itself,
Yeah, me too.
media duty after that defeat. Oh, we're
I
getting to it
know
after,
what
maybe.
you're
It's a bit
about to say. I
frustrating.
know what you're about to say. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, not happy. You mentioned Romero. It's got a lot to do with that. Here's what he had
Yeah.
to say, though.
For joining us. Look, I mean, we're down in the tunnel area. We can hear the Wolves players celebrating in the dressing room. It's a difficult day for us, isn't it?
Yeah, it's completely difficult, and we know that, but we have to go. We can't give up. We can't give up. We have to learn on this situation and just go again and show who we are, and yeah, just go.
I mean, it started with a difficult, we conceded early again, didn't we? But look, we fought our way back into the game. But every time we seemed to pull a goal back, we just conceded another, didn't we?
Yeah, what I said is it's about concentration. We have to be concentrated. The first minute is until the last minute, and yes, today was unlucky for us. I think we showed some good things, but yeah. We did a lot of mistakes today, and yeah, that's why we lose.
How difficult was it for someone like you who comes into the team today and you want to do your best and you've scored your goal, 2-2 in the Premier League, but obviously we lose 4-2. It's difficult, isn't it?
I'm very happy to score my second goal in the Premier League, but I'm a person to have to look of my team, always on my team, and yes. I scored, but we lost, and that's I'm not very happy about it.
It kind of don't matter, does it?
Yeah, but we have a good game, big game the next week, and we have to be ready for this game and just go again and don't give up.
Thanks for talking to us, mate.
A lot of things annoy me about the interview. Maybe the interviewer itself, the fact he's sent out on duty. So, Wheelsy, I'll come to you. Should the leadership group be coming out, and taking these interviews, these media duties after these bad results? Because they're often doing it after we win, like they are big on their, high horse on social media and that, but they disappear, don't they, from difficult times?
What annoys me probably annoys you just as much as you send a 19-year-old loanee, not even signed to the club, out to propose this interview, and the leadership is nowhere to be seen. It's beyond words, really. I don't know why that's happened. I don't know how the club has let that happen. It's unbelievable, completely inexcusable.
Okay.
And it just sums up that entire game. Like the game itself was inexcusable, and to get an interview conducted like that in that manner, a 19-year-old who hasn't even been in England for more than half a year, it's crazy, absolutely bonkers.
It is. It's wrong. He spoke well. Don't get me wrong. Could see him taking accountability and etc.
Yeah,
but he
100%.
shouldn't be in that position. It's disappointing. But Wheelsy, you mentioned it earlier about Romero walking straight down the tunnel. No appreciation of the fans. Bear in mind that wasn't a good performance from him. That's shocking in itself, isn't it? Really.
Yeah, I didn't know what to think, to be honest. After that, he's meant to be the leader of the team. He's meant to direct us in the right direction, but his direction was straight down the tunnel, straight back home. No, there was no thought behind it. He just stormed off, and it's just the story of Spurs, really, this season. There's no leadership. There's nothing.
This comment's right, isn't it? From Terry Wright in the YouTube chat. He says there's no leadership on this team. The kids are the leaders. It's unbelievable, really. Sums it up, doesn't it?
We've been building the team around kids, and it's clear to see we have players like Bergvall and Mikey Moore shining, but our proper leaders, our experienced players, are nowhere to be seen. That they're ghosting the matches that they shouldn't be ghosting, and it's it makes you think: how are youngsters being more like professional than our leaders and our experienced players? It's just a mystery in my eyes, but I'm hoping for change next season.
Let's hope so. Fingers crossed. It's just so annoying, isn't it? Last thing I'll say about that is, do you think we should scrap the leadership group or certainly make some changes to it? And we won't happen now, but at the end of the season.
Yeah, no, 100%. Leadership does need to change. Whether it be, I don't know. I can see that Vicario is a good leader because he shouts in our players' faces, tells them where to be and what to do. So if Vicario is to be our number one keeper next season, I say definitely give the armband to him, bar his questionable performances recently. No, I think Vicario should be in line to be our new leader, and I think that would suit the club pretty well, if I'm honest.
Yeah, 100%. Thank you very much. Another clip I want to play with you, Wheelsy, is of Match of the Day, and it's Danny Murphy talking about Ange Postecoglou and Spurs. So let's have a little listen first, and we'll get straight into it and dissect
Ange
it.
actually said post-match that he didn't think they played too well today. Do you agree?
I don't agree. I mean, the interpretation of playing well for me is when a team attacks with some good rhythm, defends well together, fights for each other, does normal things, has good at football IQ together collectively. I mean, some of their defending, as Dion alluded to, was schoolboyish. It was really that bad. Basic stuff. Yes, they played some nice patterns and they made some nice chances. Got some good players, of course they're going to. But sorry, Andy, I mean, that's not good play. It's good, good forward play.
Yeah,
good play.
Correct.
Is being competitive in a game by being organised, defensive at times, being good going forward, recovery runs, winning seconds. That's a good performance. There was some good aspects of forward players.
Do you agree with Danny Murphy here?
No, 100%, because I saw a similar comment when Ange did his interview saying we played well. There's not one moment in that game where I saw we played well. We was always leading. We was conceding. We was 2 goals behind, and Ange had the audacity to say we were playing well. I know 2 goals. Yeah, we played well to score 2 goals, but to trail by 4 from a team that's 17th in the club in the table, it's unforgivable. And Danny Murphy was 100% right. There's in no way we played well, and I was very Ange in at the start of the season and in the video that you got us to put together, and my perception has completely flipped on his head now. I wouldn't want to see Ange in this club anymore. But if we win the Europa League, maybe my perception might change a little bit. But yeah, I'm not very happy with his position right now.
Yeah, I'm totally with you, Wheelsy. That Chelsea away was a turning point for me. Just him with the fans, as well as the result and the performance, everything about it, just all together. But mainly his moment with the fans. I'm like you. I differ from what I said in that video, which was excellently put together by yourself. But I'm also like with you in terms of, as you say, win the Europa League. Maybe it's different. But for me, it is because no major trophies since 2008. But for a lot of Spurs fans, that won't change anything. But I just think that to win the Europa League would be so significant.
It would be very significant. It'd be our first major trophy in 17 years. It'd be our first European trophy in like 40 years. It'd be a big turning point for the club. But I think it would end on bad terms with how everyone is so Ange out at the minute. I just think it'd be bittersweet for the club to win a trophy, but then part way with Ange, because I don't think he'll see another season. So it would just be a bittersweet experience, in my opinion. But if we do get a trophy, at least we will all be united again, instead of going at each other on Twitter, etc.
Yeah, exactly. Talking of United, a different type of United, Manchester United. I mean, they are a complete mess at the moment. A lot of people say, Wheelsy, that they made the mistake of they won that trophy under Erik ten Hag to cover up what was a bad season. They stuck with him and gave him an extra season, and it didn't work out. Does that concern you that similar could happen in Postecoglou? Of course, I suppose we take that problem in terms of winning the Europa League. Don't get me wrong, but we could also have the issue of that, couldn't we? Where we just keep backing the wrong horse because we deliver in another competition.
I mean, even if you look at United now under Ruben Amorim, they are only a few points in front of us. Like there's not really much change. Getting rid of Ten Hag, it's all like more or less the same. So I don't know if like sacking Ten Hag was the best way forward for that club, but because he did win 2 major trophies, only like behind, I think it was Pep Guardiola, so the only manager to win more than 1 trophy under a tenure. So I don't think Ten Hag was doing too bad at the club. I don't see why they sacked him, but I think if we do decide to keep Ange after if we do coincidentally win the Europa League, I think it will all go downhill just like it did this season. I don't think there's a way that we can strengthen and improve. We have all our best players back now, and it's still more or less the same problem as we did with all of our injured players. So, yeah.
You are right. Sad times indeed. Yeah. No, you're spot on. Sorry, a bit of a delay on my end. Yeah, you're spot on. It does start at the top. And I've got one more clip to play for you, Wheelsy, and it's Jamie Carragher on Sky Sports tonight before the Bournemouth and Fulham game, because they do a long show, don't they? And an hour and a bit longer, and they go through every kind of game and any big talking points. Of course, at the moment is Spurs and Ange Postecoglou. Here's what Jamie Carragher had to say.
Speaking of not acceptable, I want to talk Spurs. Played 32, lost 17. How long can that go on?
Well, it can't go on any longer, and I think if they go out to Eintracht Frankfurt in the cup, it probably would be a shake hands and move on to something different for both parties in terms of the manager and the club. And Ange Postecoglou, since he's come in, I love watching Spurs. I love it when I've got a Spurs game. I love analysing. There's things go on, but if you're a Spurs fan, you're so open. You're always conceding goals. They're an exciting team to watch. I've said it for so long. They should be, everybody's second team in some ways, because you're always going to get a great game. But no, I mean, some of the results that we've seen this season, there's been mitigating circumstances in some cases in terms of the injuries that they've had. But, I mean, even when they've had the full team, they haven't been winning enough games. And this has not just been going on this season. If you go back to the first 10 games of last season when they were fantastic, top of the league, from then, this has been going on a long time. This has been going on nearly 18 months with them conceding goals and losing games. So it's not, just turning on the manager really quickly over a real run of form. This has been going on a long time.
Thoughts of Jamie Carragher? I think he's absolutely spot on, isn't he, Wheelsy?
I think that's one of the only times I do agree with what Jamie Carragher says. He says everything's spot on. There's been a problem with Ange and the club ever since that Chelsea 4-1 result last season. It's just all been downhill from that one game where we had the 2 sending offs, the 2 injuries, and that kind of shaped our season of last year. But it's been more or less the same this year, and it's just there's no upward trajectory. It's all just been downhill, and if things don't change now, I don't think they'll ever change. But we'll just have to see how the rest of the season pans out in the summer transfers and who we actually bring in as a manager, if Ange does stay or not. Because I don't know about you, Harry, but I have a thing about hiring mid-table managers, because we did that with Nuno and Wolves back in 2021. Everyone was a bit like 50-50 with it. And he didn't even last until Christmas. He got sacked after that Man United game. And I think if we're to sign another manager like Andoni Iraola or Silva or Thomas Frank, I think it would just be more or less the same with the fate that happened to Nuno. But that's just my opinion on it.
Yeah, so you're basically thinking that any manager that comes in is going to struggle because of the owners and the board and that. You're thinking
exactly. That's what I think is going to happen. And I don't think it matters who we bring in. It's who those higher up, like Daniel Levy and everyone else above the club. They're making the decisions that impact Spurs long term, not the short term manager success that we need. So, yeah, but that's another story for another day.
Yeah, it absolutely is. We could discuss that for ages, couldn't we? But we'll move on to Frankfurt, mate, for now. What are your thoughts ahead of this game, second leg? We talked all the bad things about Spurs. Is there anything positive to look for in this game? I suppose the fact that we go in there, not losing.
I mean, probably the only positive is that Son's foot is going to be better for that game, and that's all I can say. To To be honest, I'm not really confident. Even though Vass and Kallum's a 2-1 win, I'm not too confident on that. I can't agree with them because that German crowd will be so up for it, and they will want to see their club win the Europa League again for like the second time in 3 seasons, something like that. They'll be up for it, and they'll probably see us out the cup.
100%. Before we get into team news, lineup and predictions, let's go through a couple of questions in the YouTube chat. Wheelsy, I'm going to ask you this one from Wagga, who says, I have a question for the whole panel. I'm Anjao, and I believe you are too. But even if the new manager comes in, what's going to change? We briefly touched on it there, but he's right, isn't it? Not a lot's going to change. Do you have a preference, though, Wheelsy, on who that manager could be?
See, I'm not too within the football knowledge space. I don't spend my spare time looking into managers and how they impact clubs. But I think we need a manager that has that puts down boundaries, puts down rules, and makes the players work for it. There just needs to be some form of discipline, because right now at the club, we've seen the way the leadership is going. There's no discipline. There's no leadership. Things need to change. I don't know who it will be, but things do need to change, and I've reiterated that about 10 times already.
No, you're spot on. I'm going to answer this next question from Jay. He says, who would you want as your 3 choices, top 3 for Ange replacements? I'm going to do this one. I would, of course, put Pochettino definitely in that 3, but he's not going to go anywhere for that reason. I'm not going to put him in there, and it makes it interesting if you don't. Oliver Glasner will be in there for me. I think the job that he's done at Crystal Palace has gone massively under the radar, and he's had good success with the team that we play on Thursday, Frankfurt. I think he won the trophy with them there, didn't he? So, he's got history. He's been there, done it. So I'm a massive fan of him. Thomas Frank as well. Brentford, I think, has done very well. So there'd be 2 already out of the 3. Third one's interesting. I really like Iriola of Bournemouth, but I just can't see it, A, happening, and B, working for him at Tottenham, because I feel like he's a little bit no one's similar to Ange, but there's traits there. So I'm going to avoid him for that one. And the third one's really up for grabs. So I'm going to go, some would say unambitious, but Marco Silva, who I think has done an amazing job with Fulham. But for me, it's between Glasner and Frank. Of course, if it could be between Pochettino, that would be great. But I wouldn't have a problem with saying to Ryan Mason, right? He's a 3-4, 5-year contract. We're going to change the way we do recruitment. We're going to be, which won't happen. We're going to be patient. We will change the look at the club, for example, and we're going to go through the Arsenal Arteta model, but do it a little bit better and learn from what they've done and mistakes that maybe they've made, and learn out the good things they've done. And I wouldn't have a problem with that. What do you think, Wheelsy? Is there future, I suppose, for Ryan Mason as manager at Tottenham, or is it all a bit of a fantasy?
I mean, if you see Ryan Mason's last couple tenures at the club, when he replaced Mourinho for the final few games, he actually done a pretty good job against Leicester at that final game of the season. I think it was 4-2, where we beat Leicester in the final day of the season. And at that period where we had Ryan Mason, when Christian Stellini got sacked, I believe he went on a pretty good run of form. But I don't know if he would be good as a long-term manager on a proper contract. I don't know if many fans would agree with that. I wouldn't know, because we haven't seen him manage a top club for many years. So it might be a bit of a Mikel Arteta at first. Bring him in, see how he does, and just trust the process. But yeah, I'm not too sure on that one.
Thanks, mate. And Wagger, who asked the original question, said, I know we will not play kamikaze football, but I think we'll still have the same conversations after 12 or 18 months for whoever comes in. And he goes on to say, as I said, you really need to think about, we'll have a consistent long run with any manager, but the same conversations again and again. There's no consistency from top to bottom. I sadly do agree. I really do agree with that. We're going to another question or 2. Wheelsy, Mel says here, do you think Tell has shown enough for us to buy him, especially given the high price?
I mean, I believe he scored 3 goals this season. I think there was one, the penalty against Southampton, and then he scored again against Wolves. He's shown that he has especially in the interview where he got dragged out to do the interview, he's shown good characteristic and that he wants to play for the badge, especially for that short period of time. But on a long-term project, I'm not too sure because he's still young. We've seen young players go into Spurs and then it ends miserably. So it'd be a hit and miss. But I would like to see Till at the club for a bit longer. I think having a depth in our winger spaces would be good rather than just rotating the same players game in, game out. Having Till there would strengthen our depth a little bit more.
Yeah, it would do. Thank you so much. Back on to Frankfurt and everything that surrounds this game, because it is massive, isn't it, for our season? There's no two ways about it. It does define our season, how we do, not only Thursday, well, if we're still in the competition, the Europa League campaigns. It's been a disaster. We know about everything in the league, but I don't think it will be the case, but you never know. We do really well in the Europa League, and the situation with Ange changes. You just don't know. For me, it should maybe. Of course, you don't want to be blinded, but it's such a significant thing, isn't it? When you haven't won a major trophy since 2008.
Yeah, it's practically now or never. If we don't win this, if we don't win the game on Thursday, the whole fan base is going to capitulate. And if we do win, some fans will be happy, but there'll be the rest of the fan base that are saying, I still want Ange out. This isn't good enough. We're not going to beat Bodo Glimt or Lazio, whoever we end up facing. So I believe it's a little bit of a lose-lose situation until Ange can actually prove himself and win that final game that gives us the trophy. But yeah, only time will tell, Harry.
Yeah, only time will tell indeed. Let's hope that we can do it. Fingers crossed. Wheelsy, I'll come to you about your lineup. So what would be your lineup if you were Ange Postecoglou? Talk us through it here, and I'll give you some time about this because obviously I've asked you on the spot, so
yeah, of course.
No rush at all.
Yeah, so I think we'd have to go full strength because, as we've said throughout this podcast, it's now or never. We have to start our strongest squad, and I think having Van de Ven in that lineup where he's been rested for a couple games, I think he'd be well up for the game. He's shown that he's good defensively. He's got the pace to outrun attackers and claim the ball back. We need in the midfield. We need a nice, solid defensive midfield, whether that be in Bentancur, maybe Sarr. I've seen Sarr's had a few good games recently. I believe I want to see. People might think this is a bit controversial, but I want to see Porro back in that right back spot. Seeing that he scored that goal against Frankfurt, and I think we should have we should definitely start Jed Spence again on the left, keep Udogie on the bench, and we need wingers that can take on their man. So not Johnson. I think we should leave him on the bench for that game. Whether we start, I don't know if Odeber's back, we should start him or have some back in that position, and I think we should give Richarlison a run in. For the striker position because he proved that he can still score goals. I don't know if he'll be able to make the full 90 minutes because of how injury prone he is, but let's cross our fingers and hopes that he puts in a good performance for that game if he does start. But that would be my lineup.
Thank you so much, mate. Sounds really good. Big shout, and I think a really sensible shout with Richarlison. We've got a Newcastle fan in the chat. Obviously got the name of Eddie Howe. Just wanted to use this opportunity as well to say I wish Eddie Howe all the best. I think I read today he misses the next two games, having been admitted to hospital. So I do wish him a speedy recovery. But this Newcastle fan says here in the chat, do you think that Ange's 4-3-3 can unlock Frankfurt's deeper defensive block, especially in the wide channels? What do you think of this, Wheelsy? Obviously, it's not a traditional 4-3-3, is it? We play under Ange. It's a very different flood the midfield approach.
I am absolutely the worst person to ask when it comes to tactics, but if I put my own take on it, I think if we play defensive, it's better than going all out attack because it's good that we're pushing the ball forward, but it leaves so many spaces open for defenders just to run through and make a meal of our defense. So we do need to keep a defensive line somewhere, whether that be in the midfield or keep it tighter at the back. I think we should scrap the idea of playing what he calls attractive attacking football and just try and keep a clean sheet, if I'm honest.
That'd be nice. I can't see it, can you?
No, not
Very
at all.
nice. No. That leads me on perfectly, Wheelsy, to score prediction. What do you reckon?
People are going to slew me for this, but I think it's going to be a 2-1 Frankfurt. I'm sorry to say it, but I really don't have confidence.
No, that's all right.
I think they're going to score like added time. If it goes to 30 minutes, they'll score, I don't know, in the 120th minute. Something silly like that, because we're Spurs. And, yeah, it's not good.
That's going to hurt it. I do feel extra time. I agree with you on that.
They will have my full support on Thursday, but I'm not too confident.
Exactly, and it's been a bad season, but fans should get behind the team, shouldn't they? You know, for Thursday, nonetheless, one last big push in our season. Because we could go out Thursday, so it could be the last game. So fans have got to give everything, treat it like a final. That's what we've got to do from now till the final. Hopefully, we'll be there because we're not far from Bilbao. We're 2 or 3 games now, so let's make it happen. But I'm not too confident. At the same time, it would be so Spursy, wouldn't it? And I hate using that word, but 100%. It's appropriate in this context. So Spursy to win the Europa League when we've been as bad as we are, and but far off the relegation zone. So that'd just be a Spurs thing to do. I don't think that we're end that trophy drought when we're being amazing. I don't think we'd get top 4 and win a trophy. I think it's going to be done when we're struggling. That'd be a Spurs thing to do. So just never know.
It's also occurred to me that we could also see, I think it's 7 English clubs in the Champions League next season if we win the Europa League, and with that 5th spot, and if if Aston Villa wins it as well, there'll be 7 clubs in the Champions League. So that'd be interesting to see, but I don't think it will happen.
But imagine saying that, Wheelsy. 8 clubs, right, in the Champions League. All those European places we're going to get this season, potentially, some definite, some potential, and we're not even in, considered for any of it. Yeah, not just not in it, but not, even going to be in contention. How bad's that? We're not even contention, are we, to finish in the top half, really, anymore?
No, not at all. I mean, there are many clubs that are much better than us financially, played squad-wise. We're just... I don't know. This club's been on the downward trajectory for a while now, and it's really sad to see. I mean, I've only been supporting Spurs and watching Spurs for 5 years, but I feel like I've watched them a lifetime, and I've grown grey hairs and everything. It's not good.
No, it's not good at all, is it, mate? But I think that does wrap us up nicely for this week's episode. I want to thank the previous guests that were on, Vass, Kallum and Hollie. Make sure to follow them on all socials. And also a massive thank you to yourself, Wheelsy. Where can people find you on the socials? I know you do a lot off camera and you do a lot of incredible work for me and for the channel. So talk to people a bit about what you do and also your own stuff as well.
No, it's always been a pleasure, Harry. And if you don't see me on the channel making graphics or editing videos, etc., you can find me on Alex Wheelsy on all socials. And I'm currently in the middle of making my own YouTube video at the minute, which I do hope to push out for the end of the week. Fingers crossed if I stay motivated enough to edit it and push it out. But no, it's always a pleasure working for you, H, and there'll be more to come, I'm sure.
Thank you so much, mate. Keep up the incredible work. And we're make sure that viewers and listeners do head over to Wheelsy's channel and check out his new video, because trust me, his editing skills are top notch. Far different from Spurs we're seeing on the pitch. If only they could produce this level of quality. Hey, but I do think that has been a good episode. So thank you so much, Wheelsy, for being part of it. If you are new to the channel, please do like and subscribe. A reminder, this is available on all major podcast platforms in the UK, and around the world. So please do drop us a follow and a 5-star review wherever you're listening. And also, if you are listening, please let us know where. Very interested to hear from you. From now, massive come on you Spurs. Hopefully next time you'll be hearing from me, it will be reviewing a Frankfurt win. We'll be in the semi-finals of the Europa League and thinking a bit more positively when previewing Forest. You just never know. Come on you Spurs.
Come on you Spurs.